Let's start the video. Oh, tell me if it's loud too, because I actually don't know. Or quiet. Remember, there is only war, guys. Oh, I love to read these, actually. He puts very nice, what are they called? There's only war and overpriced miniatures. No! And cat girls, and there are cat girls too. Yes. The dark age of technology casts its echoes upon us, softened with time, but falls still. Beware the machine, for its lineage is unhallowed. Oh, I did.
The rise of the tech priests began in the aftermath of the Age of Strife, the devastating period of galactic turmoil and planetary isolation that saw humanity reach a point of complete cultural collapse. Mars, during the Dark Age of technology, was then home to humanity's most ancient and advanced technological vaults.
Oh yeah, I remember, because Mars was, I think, first colonized after Earth, if I remember correctly. So that's why Mars was so important.
It was the very centre of human knowledge, but by the period known as the Age of Strife it had become transformed into a bastion of scientific and industrial might for whatever remained of humanity. The tech priests who existed upon Mars, and who had become as a result of the circumstances which saw the collapse of Mars, concentrated into a religious cult. And this cult was devoted to the worship of the machine god. These tech priests and their cult constituted what was known as the Mechanicum of Mars. And if you are new to learning about the Mechanicum and the Mechanicus, then I would point you to some of my previous videos. The tech priests established vast forge cities and manufactoria, creating...
My favorite human style are Death Corps of Krieg. They just look insane, and for Space Marines, Space Wolves, Salamanders, and recently I started to like more and more Imperial Fists, but honestly Tyranids, Necrons, and Death Guards are my top 3. As a Grey Knight enjoyer, I'm tempted to time you out. Oh no! You got on the captain's wrong side! No, Admech is my first, Necrons are my second, Salamanders and Black Ravens and Blood Ravens are kinda on the same, because I'm a salamander in the heart and Blood Raven in soul. I love loot, but I will save my small sisters and brothers. Probably fourth one is orcs. I just like orcs, they're goofy. Well, there is forbidden knowledge, but all knowledge is important knowledge. Did I hear orcs? Yes, they are on my 4th place. In 40k. In fantasy, Dwarves, High Elves, Lizardmen, Tomb Kings. 5th place? Something like that. Orcs are just happy little guys. Exactly, they're just happy little guys. They're just happy little guys. But yes, I heard that how Mechanicus was formed, or rather Mechanicum, was that Mars collapsed after the AI rebellion, and engineers were the only one who knew how to upkeep the machines to keep them alive, and people started to kind of worship the engineers, and then with time, the engineers were not teaching the best the younger generations, so they were kind of just repeating the same process, and then they started to worship the machines because the machine keeps them alive.
Not only powerful weapons, but vehicles, infrastructure, and all manner of machinery which was required for the very survival of humanity.
Important.
Their expertise and resources would become absolutely critical to the success of the Emperor of Mankind's Great Crusade, and in exchange for their support, he granted the Mechanicum the rare privilege of societal autonomy and the singular control over Mars, thus cementing their status as a crucially empowered ally within the newly emergent Imperium of Mankind.
Look at this man! Look at him! Isn't he glorious?
This partnership propelled the Mechanicum to unparalleled heights of influence and power, making them near indispensable for the Imperium's war efforts and expansion.
Yes,
Yet this
which is
power
good.
was very dangerous, for the Mechanicum never truly trusted the Emperor. He was...
Well, dangerous is such a broad term. I would say an autonomy for Mechanicum was a very good idea, yeah.
was the OMNISSIAH, but not all were ready to believe that he was the singular being they had sought and worshipped for so long. The first cracks in the relationship had emerged. In time, these would split deep into the cult to become the Schism of Mars, and within the Mechanicum, this would lay the foundations of what would later be defined as the Dark Mechanicum. Meanwhile, the loyalist tech priests upon Terra
They just look, heretics? Yes, heretics. They were heretics, but we have to talk about the dark history because it's important. We have to remember what happened and prevent it from happening ever again. Watching Chibi Tori learn 40k lore being depressing and gore and stuff, all while she gives a sweet and most definitely innocent smile is just so cute.
would diverge into the cult Mechanicus. Fast forward to the contemporary era, and in the tumultuous aftermath of the emergence of the Cicatrix Maledictum, the Dark Mechanicum has become increasingly aggressive.
Oh yeah, they never actually spoke about what happened with the Dark Mechanicum after the Mars have been taken back. I wonder if he will explain it. Hi Lilo!
Seize opportunities amid the galaxy's chaos, and with the Imperium divided by the Great Rift, renegade tech priests seek to exploit the weakened defenses and the fractured command structures of formerly impenetrable Imperial bastions. Now they seek their destruction to expand their influence and power alongside other renegades and heretics. Key figures have emerged in this time, driving forward this new wave of traitor aggression, among them Vashtor the Archifane, a powerful demon engineer who brought forbidden knowledge and arcane technology to the Dark Mechanicum. His expertise in creating horrific war machines and corrupting sacred technology has notably intensified assaults upon loyalist worlds. And the Great
I did not know that demons can be engineers. That's kind of scary. No one told me that demons can be freaking engineers, excuse me? Oh, I don't like how that word. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Papa Nargo can have some Nazi machines. My boy, Versace is not an engineer, he is the engineer. I don't like that. Yes, but it's kind of cool. I don't know. No, that's not cool. Yeah, mixed demons and titans. Hi, producer Andy, welcome. Happy to see you. How are you doing today? They can be anything they set their mind to. Oh, that's not good. There's Demon Forge in the warp that crafts war machines. Okay, I knew that Mechanicum or heretics currently are working for the heretics, for the legions that are heretics now. But I did not know that there is forges in warp and the demons can be engineers. This is horrifying. Also, hi Nika, welcome. Happy to see you. In the grimdark of the far future, demon are weird. Oh boy. Don't remember, Luetin already said how much he hates the Tau. Not in this video. Not in this video yet. Also, hi Stealth, welcome. Happy to see you everything today. Dark Mechanicum, yes. Crafts might not mean exactly the same as how we use it. Oh, true.
Rift is problematic enough for the Imperium, but the prospect of the Dark Mechanicum returning with a newfound aggression toward humanity is deeply troubling, for their horrific nature was already evident before they even retreated into the warp.
Oh yeah, especially that they don't get any limitations on engineering, so they actually invent stuff. I forgot about this little thing. I'm good, thank you for asking. Hello there, Splashy Traffic, Terrific, welcome, happy to see you. He went to demon engineering school, made the demon dean's list. That's the list of demons who ate the dean. I see. Vastos doesn't only have a forge, he has the soul forge. He makes demon engines and weapons for renegades and the other chaos gods. In fact, his contracts bind demon engines to him first and then to other chaos gods. Oh my, that's a strong boy. Okay. In a way, in his forge, Vashtor is more powerful than the Big Four. Oh yeah, inventing new stuff is heresy, exactly, and they can do that because they are heretics.
And in many documented instances since, while those of the Mechanicus hold some restraint in their apathy toward human flesh, the Dark Mechanicum have entirely embraced a complete disregard for human morality and the sanctity of the human form. They conduct gruesome experiments merging flesh and machine in grotesque amalgamations that serve as both soldiers and abominations. Although in saying that, that sounds a lot like the Mechanicum.
To be honest, this looks kinda good design, I would say, other than the fact that it's demons and heresy. Dark Mechanicum had less available resources to craft scary things. Not anymore, so as I see. So no air fryer? Warhammer is dark? No air frying. Nope. Kinda chorf, yeah, this looks kinda chorf, that's true.
Mechanicus, but anyway, details. What you won't see in the Mechanicus are the warp-twisted creations like hell brutes and demon engines whose power is fueled by the tormented souls of their victims, screaming eternally from within their metal shells.
I love Mechanicus, but let's pause for a second. You'll say that you're not gonna see machines with bounded souls with it. What are servitors? If not exactly that, just not dead yet. Screaming in pain. I'm sorry. They still kinda seem the same. No, is heresy inside the loyal Mechanicus, the traitor of the Dark Mechanicum can. They always walk on the thin line of heresy, that's true. They also kind of suck on the tabletop because they are not vehicles but daemons. Oh, that sucks. Servitors are just slavery on steroids, yes. I don't think he's more powerful, but the Big Four know that none of them can be in charge and would end up fighting the other three if they even attempted to take it. So it's their no-man era, no God allowed. No, Chaos God can singularly overtake the Soul Forge, that is true.
Such machines of horror, under Vashtor's guidance and supported by the Dark Mechanicum, have launched devastating raids upon Forge worlds, capturing valuable resources and enslaving skilled tech priests to their cause. Their endeavours grow ever bolder, with incursions rarely seen before penetrating deep into Imperial space. An immediate sign of the presence of the Mechanicum is always their use in spreading mechanical corruption through insidious scrap-coded and chaos-tainted relics. They twist once pure technologies into instruments of confusion, chaos, and horror, infecting machines with chaotic energies that turn them against their creators. For the Imperium, the contemporary period has marked a significant and notable escalation in the Dark Mechanicum's activity and their potential overarching goals. Troublingly, the Great Rift appears to have marked a new era of technological heresy and relentless tech war. This, combined with their disregard for the sanctity of humanity and life in general, leaves the Dark Mechanicum as one of the most feared and reviled factions throughout the galaxy.
I can see why. They have a lot of power.
I often see it said, or am directly asked, why was the Horus Heresy so critical to the background of the Imperium or 40k in general?
If someone asks that, then do they even know what it was? Call the creators of the Primaries project, and a lot of new tech is considered a heretic inside the Mechanicus, and that is hilarious. Yes, I know. This is the funny. I heard a story about one tech priest. I think he was tech priest or magus. I'm not certain which one of these two. But it was a very funny story. So you know that Mechanicus has those running boys that they just have to run because they only work when they run, or they are scared of turning them off. That was apparently invented by one of the dudes, but his jealous colleagues decided that that's heresy, or kinda probably in their head. So he mysteriously died and his research mysteriously vanished. And then Mechanicus decided, you know what? This was actually a good invention. Sucks that we don't know how it works because we destroyed the research. So now they not only don't know how it works, they don't know how to make it, and they're scared that if they turn it off, it's just gonna die. It made me chuckle. Sometimes you sort of know something, but you ask because you want a clearer understanding of it. True, that's true. Yeah, the Striders, yeah. Who actually got a really good buff. Better not ask about the King in Yellow. Okay. Harris got all heretical possibility through 40,000 hammers around. Yes, that's exactly what happened. I still wonder what happened to Konstantin Valder. I don't know which one that is. He is the King in Yellow, and the King is like against the Imperium. Who is the King in Yellow? Who that? Oh, I was not supposed to ask. Never mind, I didn't ask.
The implication being you could just jump in at the current period for the Imperium in M41 and pick up the other details as you go.
I mean,
it's
sure.
not completely untrue to presume or suggest this, and as I always say, the best place to start in 40k is anywhere, because so much of the lore leads to tangents and adjacent questions. It's best to not worry.
Hey, no spoilers, read the books. Which ones? There is so many. Which ones? New subscriber, Torineesan, amazing model. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. Welcome. Happy to see you. Hard to die. Hi, hi. Hard to tell. They never finished the story. No. The hardest thing to do. It's too complicated to explain what King in Yellow is. Asking about the King in Yellow is heresy. Oh, okay. I didn't ask. I don't want to know. Konstantin Valder is the general of the Custodes before he disappeared on a random night. Oh yeah, there was something like that. I wonder what happened to him. Agehorn and Bakin read those series. What are they about? I need to know what they are about.
Too much, and eventually everything will start to connect. At
Yes.
the same time, the heresy was one of the most pivotal periods for humanity in terms of 40k. It framed and established everything that would occur throughout the next 10,000 years of human history. And for that
changed
reason,
a lot.
it really should not be ignored. But does that mean you have to read the entire library of heresy books before you even start learning?
No. Why heresy? No, we're not reading heresy books. The King in Yellow is a Lovecraftian horror. They might have had some inspiration from it. I see. His last word is only in death. I hope he will return, at least is doing something good for the Imperium behind this curtain. Hopefully. We would want offended our glorious corpse emperor. Exactly. We don't read heresy.
About contemporary 40k, forget about the stuff that happened in between. Well, no. But for context, let's briefly consider the fall of the Mechanicum. It all began at the outset of the Horus Heresy. A trusted Mechanicum representative was sent to Mars to secure the support of its fabricated general for the War Masters' rebellion. Remembering, this was a different time to M41 and also tech priests. So it wasn't a question that led to said messenger being immediately executed on the spot.
Wait, what did he ask again? Wait a second, I missed the question.
Support of its fabricated general for the War Masters' rebellion. Remembering Horus Heresy, a trusted Mechanicum representative was sent to Mars to secure the support of its fabricated general for the War Masters' rebellion. Remembering, this was a different time to M41 and also tech priests. So it wasn't a question that led to said messenger being immediately executed on the spot. Also, remembering that the Mechanicum and its leaders in this time were a little more hesitant to fully embrace the Emperor, and at the very least more skeptical due to past disappointments with the Emperor. So this meant that
Wait, there were disappointments with the Emperor? How? I don't think I heard of the disappointments of the Emperor. Best egg boy is Arkham Land.
during the latter stages of the Great Crusade, the Mechanicum's fabricated general already questioned what tangible benefits could be offered by a continued alliance with the Emperor. It made sense initially, but now that they had been quite successful with the Great Crusade, why did they need to continue this alliance with the Imperium? Why couldn't they just go off and basically do whatever they want? The representative explained that much had changed since the Emperor's departure, with new powers emerging and shifting allegiances taking place. Most of all, Horus, the War Master, promised to be a steadfast ally to...
Oh, I didn't know that he literally just told him that Emperor is like evil and bad and we're taking over. Ooh, I only knew that he like promised them more good stuff than what Emperor gave him. I want a toaster from a dark mechanicum with a demon flavored bread. TLDR, the Emperor told them to not touch Xenotech, but the AdMech want the shiny bits. Yeah, I remember that Emperor like closed off a lot of knowledge and told them to never look at it. And then Horus said, you know, if I take over, you can look at the forbidden knowledge. I will give you the fruit. Extra spicy toast. They yearn for new stuff? Well, of course.
Mars, if the fabricated general pledged loyalty and manufacturing capabilities to the traitor's cause, and of course that small detail of requiring full suppression of any dissent among loyalist tech priests to ensure a smooth path to supremacy in the Sol system. The fabricated general noted that the Mechanicum had already prioritized supplies for the War Master's favoured fleets, but the tech priests were far from being won over by wild promises with very little to back it up, even more reluctant to trade one autocrat for another. Nonetheless, the messenger assured them that the War Master would restore the Martian Empire's former glory, withdraw non-Mechanicum forces from Forge Worlds, and provide access and unfettered exploration of lost secrets and ancient technologies.
Yeah, see, you just present to Mechanicus, look, new shiny knowledge. And Mechanicus says, yes, we want the new shiny knowledge. Tech Priest, please don't touch Necron stuff. Yeah, Tech Priest, please stop touching Xeno stuff. That's bad. The Emperor wasn't considered a god until some time later, as far as I recall. I think it happened a few millennia after Horus. No, actually, I think it was more of they were believing that he is the OMNISSIAH, that he was the one who... because OMNISSIAH, because God Emperor was supposed to be the, like, in between the God Machine and Mechanicus, so they kind of did believe, but they were unsure. Some of them were like not certain if actually God Emperor is God Emperor. People were already considering Big E as a god during the Great Crusade. Then Lorgar's book spread across the Imperium, as did worship of him. Yeah, the Emperor hated to be considered as a god, if I recall right. He hated it, but he allowed Mechanicus to believe that he is a god because it was beneficial for him, if I remember correctly. We should just make a rule to not touch anything? No! We want knowledge. Toaster with 4 slots? That's heretical! TLDR, the worship machine god, and they saw Big E was the messiah of the god, and OMNISSIAH if you would. Yes. They basically saw the God Emperor as Messiah of the God Machine. Calling the Emperor God was against the imperial truth and the crime. This is the funny thing, that yes, but Emperor allowed Mechanicus to believe that he is a god. Like, Mechanicus was kind of an exception where Emperor agreed for them, like, he didn't object it. He didn't necessarily agree with them doing it, but he didn't object them doing it. The Admech believed Big E to be messenger of the machine god. Yes, when he arrived, they thought that he is the messenger of the machine god, especially that they were stranded on Mars for a very, very long time alone. And he kind of came in and said, hey, I can save you and help you. That part I know. He had a decree about not worshipping him, but he was too busy to deal with it. Kinda, yeah. He just let them be. I love that the Society of the Imperium set up Big E as a deity from the Book of Trader. Oh, juicy irony. In reality, to the God Emperor, our undying Lord, and by the grace of the Golden Throne. Amps allowed it because they had all the toasters that his giant men needed to the crops for conquest. Exactly. I believe that Big E has always been worshipped by those on Mars. And also he planted the hints that founded the religion on Mars so they would be subservient. Very possible, because he probably wanted them to kind of be nice to him. Yes, only the Admech got an exemption. A war against Mars was too costly. Both sides actually knew that war against each other would just make no sense, and it would just take a long time and resources and not really be beneficial for anyone. So I think that's why Emperor just said, it's fine, they can worship me. It's fine, it's far enough. It's far away enough. I don't have to worry about it. Emperor from Mechanicus is basically Jesus of OMNISSIAH. Yes. I think Big E got a paradoxical relationship on people worshipping him. He hated, but also benefit from it. True. Well, he beat up the Void Dragon and impersonated it on Mars. True, there is a story about the Void Dragon being there, but it's also kind of a legend. Like, yes, there is a legend about it, but we don't have much information outside of it. Mutually assured distraction.
Horus now had the attention of the fabricated general.
That's
but
the problem.
Not his loyalty. For this, it would require a pledge to allow unrestricted research into entirely forbidden technologies and the priceless protocols to unlock the vaults of Moravec, which were said to contain unfathomably dangerous warp-tainted knowledge and technology. Salivating through his breathing pipe and Vox grill, the Mechanicum leader greedily accepted. This saw the current fabricated general of Mars join forces with the War Master.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Such support was, of course, invaluable, and one could argue it even enabled the viability of the heresy itself, for without providing advanced technology, technical and logistical support to aid the traitors, it's very questionable if they could have reached Terra at all, or if they did, how viable they would have been at that point in time.
Oh yeah, because if they wouldn't have tech priests on their side, how the frick would you fly the ships? Someone has to talk to the machine spirit within the ship. And if you don't have tech priests, then who's gonna do that? In the day, there was heavily implied that the machine god was the dragon on Mars, aka Catan god. The OG Catan were straight out gods instead of shards. Yes. However, I think on the planet there's like shards of Catan, not actual like full-on form, because he was killed. In ships don't need tech priests per se. In fact, most non-military vessels do not have a tech priests. Well, yes, you can pilot stuff without called Mechanicus. You just need the what are they called? The ones who like show you the way. But they needed military ships because they were going to fight against emperors, so they would need Admech. No? Am I wrong on that one? Astropuffs, thank you. Also, the Void Dragon on Mars was a shard and not the full Void Dragon. The full Void Dragon would have wiped out Biggie humanity in like 5 seconds flat. Yes. The compasses, exactly. It's a shard. Yes, it's a shard of a dragon. It's more that Mars is in spitting distance of the Golden Throne and the third most defended planet in this galaxy. True. It's very close. It's very close. I'm trying to remember the name the Necrons had for the Void Dragon. It was like Eraser of Knowledge or something like that. I hate that. Not caps lock passion. Yeah, they retconned the Catan as shards later and made the Necrons as Tomb Kings in space. Yes. Yeah. It's a shard. It's not a full-on dragon. A full-on dragon was too much for them.
But when the repository was opened, it unleashed a tsunami of tech corruption that
Oh, wait,
spread
they
throughout the
opened it?
forged cities and temples on Mars
Oh.
as scrap code. A chaos-infected digital virus which infested the Mechanicum's computer systems, causing complete and
I did not know that.
widespread havoc. And this event was really the cover they needed for the traitor Mechanicum to kind of break out into the open. But even then, whilst initial acts of treachery occurred, the Fabricator General couldn't declare open war without a pretext. He and his renegade allies used the disruption from the scrap code attack to consolidate their forces and then eliminate any and all opponents through both sabotage and just straight up assassination. But although the situation was very chaotic, it was maybe not quite as simple as just gunning down anybody you didn't like. But it wasn't far off this.
It's tech press we're talking
Then,
about.
to further support the War Master, the Mechanicum also granted him the constructed battleship Furious Abyss in a secret orbital shipyard near Jupiter. This was an extremely heavily armoured and uniquely powerful warship designed to withstand planetary assaults and was planned to annihilate the Ultramarines Legion as a key part of the War Master's wider plan for total domination and the destruction of the Emperor's new Imperium. Upon completion, the shipyard was also destroyed to ensure its secrecy, leaving no survivors and resulting in the loss of a critically valuable technological site. Now,
I don't know if that was worth it, to be honest. Go, you smell the burning tepid sensation in your nostrils? That's right, that's the smell of the confusing, self-opposing Warhammer 40k lore. Funny fact, current religion canon of the Imperium was written by Lorgar Aurelian before Emperor burned his planet to the ground. Oh, so wait, so religion was written when Emperor was still alive and Emperor destroyed his planet? Why? Yep. G-Men, in a sense, Lorgar won. They blew it up because they didn't want anyone making another super mega deeper whopper spaceship. Ah, man. But it was valuable. Welcome back, Matwish. I'm happy to see you again. Lorgar is so obsessed with worshipping something or someone. Oi, Matwish. So Lorgar written a whole Bible about him, shown him, but Big E just beat him up for it. That's long story short. I see. So he basically was not happy with the religion created. While I can, I see. I don't know why Twitch works for you. I'm sorry. Because Lorgar and his legion worshipped him as a god. G-Man put a good beating on Lorgar. Good. Well, unfortunately, he still won, and well, the Emperor is still being worshipped, but oh well. But yeah, this is interesting that they were willing to destroy a whole ass dog ship just so that they can keep secret how they made this one ship. I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of Mechanicus, eh? They kind of do that a lot of times. Yes, the word bearers worshipped the Emperor as a god. Lorgar spent a lot of time not conquering, but conquering and converting the populations to worshipping the Emperor, slowing the Great Crusade down. Ugh. There was a story about some high-ranking fellow visiting people the place the Void Dragon Shard resides. Apparently, the place has Euclidean geometry and is making space all weird. What I know is that there was one tech priest that was actually appointed to be the guardian, a next guardian of the Dragon Shard, and she was kinda. It was a weird story of her kind of being evil and outcasted because of heresy, but also put as a next guardian of the shard. She caused a lot of trouble for Mechanicus, basically. Like, she did a lot of bad stuff. She tried to get knowledge from Warp, hoping that it would, give her all the knowledge, but instead it kind of backfired. Best Lorgar beater is Carvus Corax. Emperor was the biggest hater of the religion in the galaxy. Carvus still hunting Lorgar in the warp. Hate always finds a way. Ironically, Lorgar was also the most efficient at capturing planets. He captured them intact population and infrastructures undamaged. Damn. The space around the shard not making sense makes sense? Yes. Okay, so the Void Dragon is actually known as the Eater of Knowledge to the Necrons. Nice. Mechanicus are both the smartest and dumbest people in the galaxy. Then thousands years later, this is still true. I agree. I have to agree with that one. Which I think is ironic given it is imprisoned on Mars. It's very ironic. It's very ironic indeed.
Such losses were common and catastrophic during the heresy, which is again why it's noteworthy to remember just how much of the technology, even in this time, was far in advance of what is available to the Imperium in M41, and losses such as this shipyard cast a long shadow that reaches as far as the era Indomitus.
Yeah, because you cannot replace it.
In the aftermath of the events upon Mars, things were out in the open. The Mechanicum now being openly referred to as Dark Mechanicum, they could be seen as nothing less than traitors, and in the eyes of the rising Adeptus Mechanicus marooned on Terra, those upon Mars had played an obvious and crucially collaborative role in the heresy by giving their full support to the traitors. It was as much the disgrace of the Fabricator General Kelbor Hal as it was the War Master that both were captivated by the possibilities of Chaos power. But for the Mechanicum, it was potentially those promises of freedom from the Emperor's restrictions and opportunities for true empire building of their own that sold them in terms of loyalties. As was the case with so many worlds in this time, it was very chaotic, and this meant that some Forge worlds provided weapons and war machines for the traitors' cause, others to the loyalists. Perhaps though history would judge most harshly the Forge worlds who rationalized some way to either step out of the situation and rise above it, wait to see how this whole heresy thing played out, or the many renegade Forge worlds who decided that they would dangerously play both sides. Unsurprisingly,
playing both sides in this situation is very dangerous, I must agree with that. There are clues to the dragon on Mars, but the sources within the lore aren't fully trustworthy. Yes, I heard about that one. This is why most Imperials trust AdMech only as far as they can throw them. I mean, makes sense. AdMech is... they have a lot of power within the Imperium, but they have their own goals. And they don't always align with Imperium's goal. I was wondering, you haven't tried the Space Marine 1 and 2 yet, right? I did! I already played through both of the games. I actually did play both of the games.
In the aftermath of the heresy, the Loyalists did not look particularly favourable upon those who had not sided with them. In the aftermath of the War Master's death during the Siege of Terra, the Loyalist Mechanicus forces would drive the Dark Mechanicum from Mars, and much like the other traitors, force them to flee into the Eye of Terror in the period referred to as the Great Scouring. Here they would remain for the coming 10,000 years of human history.
What is the Eye of Terror again? I hear that phrase used quite a bit, but I don't think I remember or was explained what exactly it is. As observers from the outside, we know that AdMech are plotting against the Imperium. Well, maybe not plotting as much as positioning and preparing. I think they are mostly just... they kind of want their freedom back. Tau developed better tech than the Mechanicus in a lot of fields at the current age, despite being a civilization going from a primitive to space travel race in the span of 6,000 years. Yes, but with Tau, the issue with AdMech is that they do not invent. AdMech believes that inventing things is heresy, and that's their biggest block point, and that's why AdMech is so frustrating. Because they could do such a great things, but they limit themselves by no, we can't make great things. That's too close to the sun. Epicenter of the Elder Super Murder six parties that spawned Slanesh. Oh, okay, I see. The hole ripped in the galaxy where Slanesh was born and right in front of the Cadia. Okay, very close to Cadia, noted.
Unsurprisingly, it is the Adeptus Mechanicus who reserve their deepest hatred for those now only known as the Dark Mechanicum, for they betrayed not only the Emperor during the Horus Heresy, but those of Mars itself. The destruction and the catastrophic loss of knowledge that they place above all other things, and which the traitors caused upon Mars and other war zones, was incalculable, and left an indelible stain upon the souls of the cult Mechanicum. Yet even now in the contemporary time, surviving Dark Mechanicum members who found refuge with traitor legions, and who perhaps still remain hidden within the darkest corners of the Imperium, persist. This is where they practice their dark activities and are entirely consumed by their hatred for the Imperium for millennia.
The planet broke before the guard did. Cadia stands. Cadia stands. Adme consider the Tau a race of heretics for their tech, especially the Earth caste, of course. Tech priests are thought tradecraft and have missions. Tech marines are being converted into Admech synthesizers. It's believed about half of the tech marines would fight for Admech if it turned into a civil war. Interesting. Wait, it raises again?
The Dark Mechanicum, as it has existed until the most recent period of M41, has remained operational within the Eye of Terror and other hidden regions of the galaxy. Anytime they do appear, not dissimilarly to those such as the Drakari, their expeditions and incursions are greatly feared, as they are notorious for their horrific experiments and support of heretical Astartes. They are responsible for the creation of forbidden psychosonic weapons, such as used by the Emperor's children. They collaborate in the worst possible activities of the traitors, such as atrocities committed by Fabius Bile or the Iron Warriors. They employ technology that birthed the fearsome Obliterators.
That's no good.
And they reside within their hellish Forge worlds, ruled over by cyber-demonic overlords. The Dark Mechanicum endlessly continue to produce weapons and munitions which arm the Chaos Forces and fuel the likes of the dreaded Black Crusades. Of those renegades who were among some of the first to be branded as heretics by the Imperium, most fled to the Eye of Terror to escape Imperial reprisals. However, the retreat to the Eye of Terror was extraordinarily disorganized. This meant that often they were cut off and forced into quick hiding, the alternative being brutal scouring from existence. And so this meant that many pockets of renegades would occupy hidden regions of space, strange anomalous areas beyond even the reach of the Emperor's light.
I actually wonder if because when you have the Space Marines and the Legions who are heretics, when they die, they just go back to warp. Or is it just demons that go back to warp? Because if Admech is also heretical and chaos driven, would they also just go back to warp after killing them? Or are they all souls like going to one of the big four? So Tori is a certified bug and orc killer? Yes, I am a loyalist in 40k. You are correct, but I believe Robot Gilman has recently removed the limitations on the Mechanicus to create new things. Well, I don't think it's necessarily... This is the issue that I'm gonna talk about actually, Splashy. The issue is not the Empire itself on Mechanicus with creating things. Mechanicus's religion is preventing them from creating new things. So basically, Mechanicus, what Imperium is telling them not to do is researching the Xenos technology and opening the vault. And that's something that Mechanicus partially wants to do because, come on, knowledge. The engineering and doing new stuffs is literally within the Mechanicus religion not to do because they're so scared of AI and what has happened in the Dark Age. Souls go to warp when you die. Okay, so do they come back or do they just die? Tau tried to copy Space Marines, but without gene seed results was horrible. Oh no. Unless you do something about like the Elder. Demons respawn in the warp, everyone else is devoured. Okay, so the rest is just chomped. Unless you're cool, you just become demon fodder as Chaos Dark Mech. You are usually forced to make demon weapons for demons. Not necessarily the warp is not only Chaos. Yeah, but they just, basically the souls are being devoured. I wonder how much of Chaos resources are spent on keeping Doom Guy out of any of the dimensions. I don't think it's zero. Knowledge is sacred. Knowledge is sacred indeed.
Places on the periphery of the Imperial Empire where entire civilizations could rise and fall without ever encountering the wider Imperium. Here is where renegade Astartes, non-conforming Imperials, and the Dark Mechanicum persist. Such pockets contain the worst enemies of the Imperium, and so it rests upon the likes of the Inquisition and the Astartes to discover and destroy them. The Dark Mechanicum commonly operates in these varied regions, and they often form extended clans who share their dark knowledge through a long-established hierarchy. These heretics...
They also can't use the web thingy that the AdMech uses. They have like their way, their system of communicating together. Powerful entities also respawn. Galdor Drago vandalizing Chaos Gods properly. Delicious, delicious knowledge. We love knowledge, yes.
Often wield
so I wonder how they communicate.
Understanding of technologies and local warp space conditions that would be far outside the standard operational parameters of the sanctioned Mechanicus. And it is through this broader knowledge that they're able to partake in activities that trade and create dangerous liaisons which enable them to support malicious activities. The sects of the Dark Mechanicum are not just peripherally problematic toward the Imperium, though.
They are problematic in general.
A significantly active threat, and the discovery or even the mere suggestion of their existence should be enough to trigger deployment of Imperial authorities to investigate, capture, or eliminate them. Within this fairly non-standardized Dark Mechanicum hierarchy, though, Hell Forge World...
Wait a second. Mechanicus also doesn't have standardized hierarchy. Like when you look at it, it's very messy. You have tech priest, but there is different levels of tech priest. Like there is a hierarchy between them, but it's not standardized or anything. So, oi! I think they copied us. It's usually depicted as being the same thing like the regular internet versus dark web. Okay, so they have like their own variant of that one. Okay. Elder called the warp a sea of souls for a reason. It's more literal than they pretend the thing is. From what I understand in 40k, souls are your ego, not knowledge. So all the souls not drawn to the gods are just vibing until they melt down in the warp. Oh, interesting. Poor Mechanicus. They love knowledge.
Occupy a central horrific position. These worlds lie partly within the material universe and usually partly within the warp, and they're dominated by demon machines and abhorrent industries. They're dark, nightmarish worlds consumed by total pollution, resource exploitation extremes, not to mention the pure hellish distortions of the warp and chaos.
Oh, this looks
Demons
pretty.
roam freely, and mortals are either fully committed chaos champions or slave workers from captured ships and raided planets. But as these worlds lie largely beyond the Inquisition's reach, Hellforge worlds are sanctuaries for chaos worshippers. They flood to them, because the worlds themselves are remnants of the Mechanicum who once followed Horus during heresy. This is where they once supported that uprising from, and they remain devoted to producing weapons and armaments for the traitor legion's long war against the Imperium. To this end, countless millions are enslaved in vast, labyrinthine forge fanes.
I wonder, because if they're enslaved, then that means they're raids. Thus, I would presume Inquisition is really trying to get on their tail because it's very inconvenient for the Imperium. As I recall, Mechanicus and Dark Mechanicus see each other more as political opponents than enemies. No, I don't think so, because they're heretics. And I think heretics by Mechanicus are definitely being purged and believed to be the same as heretics within the Imperium in general. There will be a loss of knowledge? Well, no, because their knowledge is heresy. Because the knowledge that heretics have is chaos knowledge. So I don't think so, because remember that when you have a heretic or someone is declared heretic within Mechanicus, they will be killed. So by the logic, we are losing the knowledge of that person as well. Mechanicus is full of hypocrisy. You have to remember about it. They love knowledge, but not all knowledge. There is knowledge believed to be heresy. It's already very hard to attack a factory that makes tanks, now have demons running around that factory. Okay, you have a point. You have a point, Nexlas. You have a point. That makes sense. Yep. Makes sense. If you wear red and don't worship OMNISSIAH, you done. Thank you. That's how I think it works. I believe by nature Slaanesh eats all elder souls unless that elder in question has a soul stone. I don't know if there's anything like that for human souls. I don't think so.
Overseen by half-demonic machine creatures who, unlike the Mechanicus, have long abandoned all aspects of their humanity and live lives that are entirely unconstrained by any boundaries or laws. But there are those who are not so entirely consumed by chaos. More experimental, explorative members of the Mechanicum on hellish Forge Worlds trade and sell their unholy creations to the highest bidder. That could be warlords, demagogues, chaos sorcerers, or even demon princes.
Okay, makes sense.
But their currency is the raw materials they require to continue the exploration and expansion of knowledge. Very often, this means flesh and souls, which seems some.
So I guess while for the cuteness, my heart dies. I guess for the normal Mechanicus, it's like, we would like some raw resources. Please give us some human. Please give us some metals. And then there is, heretics. Hi, we would like soul. Some loyal Mechanicums secretly developing new tech, but they are heretics in the eyes of Inquisition. There is, yes, so with Mechanicus, there are people who invent things and create new things, but they are seen as heretics. That's correct.
Not bizarre for a faction that discards the weakness of the human form, but while they shun the flesh, they're also quite satisfied to use it as a disposable workforce.
Of course.
Which, again, sounds a little like the Mechanicus. Anyway, the planets themselves, as you would expect, miserable, bleak places, shrouded in oppressive dark clouds from towering stacks that spew endless ash and toxic smoke. The surface is obscured by continuous layers of factories, burning and forging without pause. Waste mountains surround the forged cities, inhabited by scavenging gangs of escaped workers. Between this, robed figures adorned with mechadendrites and metallic limbs move purposely through the industrial wasteland some 40k scrap heap challenge. Runes and glyphs of the ruinous powers mark the walls in their bodies. Heretics bear these symbols upon branded flesh, and deep inside the depths of the forges, the stench of burning blood and scorched flesh hangs heavily in the air, mixed with pollutants and promethium.
I would guess that heretics actually, it's quite beneficial for them to get rid of their flesh, because that means that the chaos will warp it less. Such tech priests always dance on the edge of the blade. We saw it in Mechanicus. Yes, it's like, how far can you invent before someone decides that you invented too much?
Everywhere you may have once found the sacred cog Mechanicum is now replaced by leering metal skulls in circlets of spiked teeth. Hellforge worlds are the unfettered representations of the Dark Mechanicum.
Papa Nargo can always make them rust. Can that? Chaos doesn't care about flesh metal? I see.
For they exist to serve the completely unrestrained pursuit of technological heresy, and as such, they continue to fuel the unending threat facing the Imperium. But those of the Dark Mechanicum do not exist singularly on these ancient Forge worlds. Despite the dangers, some renegades will infiltrate Imperial space, fully knowing they face torture and execution by the Inquisition should they be captured or detected. Understandably,
we know that room! We know that room all so well! If you don't take care of your last gun, it will grow teeth and bite you during your next warp jump. What is last gun? Chaos might spread a computer virus. Yeah, true. There is the like waves that Chaos does, the corrupted stuff.
The Imperium remains ever vigilant to any infiltrators by agents or forces of the Dark Mechanicum. But their schism from the Imperium also enables one of the most interesting aspects of the Dark Mechanicum.
Chaos Gate addresses partially. Ooh, your laser gun, last gun must produce weapon. Oh, I did not know that it's called last gun. Actually, I don't think I remember that. Last gun, laser gun is the default Imperial soldier weapon. It's only the weapon with the. I knew that it's called flashlight, but I somehow missed it. It's last gun. That's on me.
That is that similarly due to the traitor legions, whilst technically having something approaching leadership, more broadly they lacked a central authority or unified belief system, which was of course one of the core reasons for their breaking with the Emperor's rule in the first place. As such, heretics are instead fragmented into countless fiefdoms and Forge World dominions. Each is ruled by a powerful fallen magi, and these factions often will war among themselves or remain isolated from all others. This has meant that, broadly speaking, their ideological focus is far more varied than those within the Mechanicus. Because in contrast, a heretic ignores any and all former restrictions that may have been placed upon them. They delve into Xenos technology, archaeotech from the Dark Age of technology, and anything related to the manipulation of the warp.
Which is interesting, because that means that they kinda will never unite. So on one hand, they're very dangerous because of how much they can create and do, but on the other hand, they can never unite their powers because they all just believe completely different things.
They might even develop entirely new technologies, combining components in forbidden ways to produce the ultimate tech heresy, innovation. Some of their number may even go so far as to share their tools and secrets with those who are untrained in the mysteries of the machine god, which is unthinkable for the Mechanicus. But in the eyes of the Dark Mechanicum, they no longer believe that any information, experiment or device should be ignored, constrained or restricted. It should be open. Their focus is often very skewed towards technologies the Mechanicus taught them to historically avoid, with that particular interest in developing warp-based or AI experimentation.
Of course.
Knowing this from the perspective of the Imperial Inquisition, heretics represent a grave and insidious threat. So
they actually could be a threat on such a wild scale because of creating AI. If they created another AI, just decided to go rogue, oops, we in trouble, boys. Belisarius Cole, one of them, because Primaris Marines without Papa Smurf Gulliman would be considered heresy. Admech is skirting the line as close as they can, though. That's true. They really like to experiment with that one. It's kind of my favorite trope of well-meaning villain diving too deep. That's like half of human chaos worshippers, guys and girls trying to do better and failing. Partially, yes. They just wanna do something better. I think it's also understandable that Mechanicus would really fall into this, considering how many restrictions they put on themselves and how much knowledge they are gaining. They are researchers, and researchers a lot of times become inventors as well. So if you don't let them invent, there is this always burning in the back of their head wish to create something that they can't create. Another Men of Iron rebellion happened during the Dark Age of technology.
Fallen tech priests are not only the creators of destructive world-ending tools, but also they are masters of cybernetic body modification, which goes far beyond the somewhat restrained practices seen within the Mechanicus. They will often add extensive experimental cybernetic and even biological enhancements that grant them superior survival and combat abilities. And while obviously the Mechanicus share these, those of the Dark Mechanicum enable modifications far more frequently, and those which also bear the corrupting mark of chaos, which makes them far more formidable than even the highest ranking Magos of the Mechanicus.
I wonder if heretics combine themselves with demons. Just for fun, you know. There is some sub-factions that are indistinguishable from how Dark Mechanicus tend to look. I don't know which sub-faction that would be, because we have 4 ? It's usually fine because AI typically short circuits when a demon turns copper into blood. Sick art, not gonna lie. Yeah, this art looks very interesting. Like possessed marines? Yeah, kinda. Word bearers basically merge themselves with demons for fun. I see.
Heretics innovate continuously. They draw power from the warp and are quite happy to employ summoned warp entities in their experimentations.
Oh, there we go.
They explore concepts like artificial intelligence, memory transference, and soul preservation within their devices. And it is this almost insatiably relentless pursuit of new ideas and forbidden knowledge which fuels their recklessness, which, now that I say it all out loud, does continue to sound quite like Belisarius' core. Anyway, for many tech priests of the Dark Mechanicum, they're so consumed by their personal goals that they reach levels of obsession, even addiction. And this is such a powerful drive within them that they might undertake near to impossible missions in raiding Imperial strongholds.
Oh, so that's why they die.
Powers in the slim hope of achieving their goals and unlocking ancient Dark Age of technology constructs. For most, the price to achieve their objectives can never be too high. But unlike the traitor Astartes, few heretics are able to achieve the status of an elevated chaos form, such as a demon prince. But this is largely due to their unfocused relationship and approach to the warp. Because unlike those Astartes who have fully embraced chaos, but even down to those who worship in its undivided form, the Mechanicum have a far more disparate following toward it, with some who may strongly engage with the entities of the warp, but there are others who ignore it entirely, operating with very minimal distinction than they did before technically falling into darkness. And this is often so much so that they may even be able to still engage with the Imperium.
So they're just very, very, very self-centered. Hi, Suckle this age, welcome, happy to see you. Thank you for the lurkies, appreciate. The Forbidden Proteus Protocol.
And members of the Mechanicus, and go fully undetected. At worst, their outlook may be seen as a little extreme, maybe stepping over the grey line, or even fundamentalist, but it still is enough to be tolerated. So while few among the heretics will reach any kind of enlightened or empowered chaos form, of those who do continue to spread their chaos-tainted technology across the galaxy, many will end up becoming components of their own horrific creations.
Oh!
Because their original bodies and personalities are often obliterated in an ironic, albeit often poetic, ending, which seems to be the best most among the Dark Mechanicum could hope for, to become one with the machine, as it were. From the perspective of the Imperium, and again specifically the Mechanicus, Dark Mechanicum heretics are a perpetual and escalating threat. The weapons and experimental concepts they seek to empower themselves with are an ultimate perversion of technological advancement, and something which potentially poses one of the greatest threats to the Imperium in M41, and which consequently must be exterminated with the most extreme prejudice possible.
I mean, if they would destroy the heretics, I think it would also really, really, really weaken some of the Chaos Legions, because, well, they would have much less guns and other stuff like that to use, because, well, I'm presuming a lot of them are being created by heretics. TLDR, they aren't given demonhood, they just turn into demons because they replace the gasoline in their car with warfire. I see.
I think many agree that we are soon to see the return of the Dark Mechanicum to a more active and open role in the galaxy of M41, both in the lore and the tabletop, which, for one thing, has me thinking of a new Rule the Galaxy video featuring today's faction focus. So the return and representation on the tabletop itself has been speculated upon endlessly, but the aggressive return of the Dark Mechanicum to the Imperium Nihilus, with the likes of Vastor making an appearance, would herald a true era of escalation for the forces of the Imperium. It would be a new age of unprecedented terror and technological corruption, as if things weren't bad enough already. Of course, this all comes down to the Cicatrix Maledictum, of course. the foremost threat facing the Imperium, because as the Great Rift splits the galaxy, renegade Astartes and tech priests alike, having been for so long exiled to the Eye of Terror and other hidden regions, now finally have an opportunity to exploit the chaos across the entire galaxy and reconnect with pockets of traitors who seek to connect and reassert their malign influence.
Oh no.
Raiding forces begin emerging from hellish forge worlds, some that were formerly deep within the warp and now find themselves on the cusp of Imperial space. The Dark Mechanicum brings with them all you would expect. War machines of diabolical heretic design, nightmarish warp creations that would be impossible to construct and fuel with demons in real space were they to be bound by the stupid laws of reality. And of course,
Stupid laws of reality, who needs them? Chaos Marines always have shortage of supplies. True. Also, heretics that don't just blow themselves up are jealously guarded by Chaos Marines, aka Gamers Workshop doesn't want to make dark mech models. Damn it! Malware function, yep.
the deployment of many other forms of forbidden knowledge. Unlike those within the Imperium, the Dark Mechanicum arsenal includes all manner of weapons that are outlawed or used sparingly, like atomics or the dreaded Life Eater virus. Advanced plasma weapons...
Wait, what is a Life Eater virus? I didn't heard about that one yet. Huh.
Even Xenos technologies, all are capable of causing massive destruction and overwhelming Imperial defences. And just to be completely clear, it's not that the Imperium would never use certain tools if they were pushed to. We well know that the Imperium rarely has too many qualms about using extraordinarily destructive technology. It's just that the Dark Mechanicum is far more likely to go in hard from day one and not use nightmare weapons as a last resort.
They just gonna use whatever they have, however they have. The inversion 40k are so great. AdMech have all the resources they could ever want, but are so inefficient with using them, while the Dark Mech has so few resources but innovates to use them all well. Yup, I agree with that 100%. Stupid laws of reality getting in the way of my awesome science. It is a virus that eats life. Imagine turning a greater demon of Nurgle into soup and then putting it in a warhead. Oh no. I'm just peachy, just rescued Dad's laptop from BIOS corruption land with a flathead screwdriver and potato annoyance. Am I hearing that you have spoken to the machine spirit of the laptop and made it work again? Hi Alfarius, welcome, happy to see you. A good old AdMech, the guys that make even us Rimworld players look like upstanding citizens. Oh no! Why do I must agree with that one? No! He really should have known better than download scrap code. Yeah, he should have known better. He should have known better that scrap code is bad.
It would also bring to the field bioengineered horrors such as murder golems, homunculites and chimerics to act as terrifying shock troops, spreading fear and chaos. Slaver parasites could subvert Imperial control from within, while massive warp-distorted titans wield all manner of
they have titans, I forgot about that one.
adaptations to overwhelm their Imperial counterparts through sheer destructive power. And this would only be made worse if the heretics used creations such as the Silica Animus or true artificial intelligences. In a truly catastrophic worst...
I wonder if they actually created an artificial intelligence, like if heretics actually managed to make one. I threatened to rip the BIOS chip with the screwdriver and it decided to work. Oh boy!
Case scenario, they could even resurrect the dreaded Iron Men, or at least reconstituted equivalents, fielding autonomous adaptive war machines, rendering traditional Imperial tactics obsolete. The dark fusion of technology and warp energy could also create demon engines and warp-based weapons unseen before and capable of unleashing devastating effects and widespread madness among populations. The possibilities are truly endless, which is in fact half the problem in itself. The Dark Mechanicum's presence in the Imperial
They're very
Nihilists
creative.
would be immediately felt through coordinated assaults on key Imperial worlds, attacks that were not just brute force, but used highly disruptive standard heretic tactics in deploying corrupted scrap code into crippling planetary defences and spreading digital contagion. Then comes the heavy-hitting, zero-restraint weaponry powered by warp energies and bound demonic entities. Nuclear strikes hitting Imperial bastions and devastating seismic weapons from the Dark Age of technology that crack into the planet's crust itself, bringing down fortifications as if they were sandcastles. Loyalists
It is interesting because Imperium's like, okay, we're not gonna use the worst and the most horrible weapons on the heretics. Heretics. What is the strongest and biggest explosion we can make? I was not in the mood for my tech to break on me right in this day, so yeah, I get it. Sometimes we have those days. Can't wait for Tori to play it as Admech in Rimworld. It's gonna be definitely interesting.
forces unprepared for such blasphemous technology would collapse quickly. Supporting heretic Astartes would also move in to break apart remnants of defenders wielding advanced war gear of the Dark Mechanicum, paired with their demonic enhancements, significantly bolstering their effectiveness in battle. For any difficult sticking points or the dug-in heavily armed defenders, they're going to be left to be purged by heretic war engines, be those corrupted titans or swarms of cybernetic abominations who overwhelm and lay waste to entire hive cities.
This is also one funny thing that I just thought about. When you think about Mechanicus, they kind of have like the standardized system of making their machines and their skitari and servitors. So you basically know how the skitari will work. And they have specific roles, while heretics, they just random bullshit, go! How do you even counter that? Usually I'm more careful with my tech, not my PC. Tech loves me even, just not my PC. I don't believe you on that one.
For there are unlikely to be any Imperial reinforcements. Nihilus is a territory already isolated and struggling under the weight of the Great Rift, but now they face an ever-present threat from chaos and such dark forges.
They're just like the orcs, but less cool. I would say orcs are much more happy than heretics. Although heretics are pretty happy, probably considering how much they can invent and create. So they are happy. They're a bit flexible with where the line is considering weapons. Deathwatch have unnamed exterminatus drones. They can perform exterminatus from their desks. Yeah, but what I mean is like when they create like skitari, for example, their main forces that they use if they have to fight, they are somewhat standardized. This one is for this one is used with the sound that like destroys your ears and stuff. This one is the one that is like the machine that has the little tanky legs and stuff like that, right? They have those. This one is the one that runs. This one is the normal one with a gun. But heretics, just whatever abomination they create, they just throw it out. There also is a thin line between pilot and fuel for the not Imperial Guards. For the Titans, I gotta agree on that one. Although, yes, orcs put trash together and think it's gonna work, it will work. Exactly. If it works, then it's good. Yes. Skitari, worker, crab tanks, those two, like, right? But you know what I mean? They kind of have the type of skitari they create, while heretics are just whatever abomination I created, go and show me what you can do. Oh snap, the potato of nobility? Yes. The pilots tend to live for about 3 days, as far as I recall. I don't know. I was watching a video, but I don't think it was specified in there how long the Titan pilots live. It was only said that both the pilot and the Titan kind of become co-independent, where the Titan does not want the pilot to let go, and at certain point the pilot doesn't want to leave because it just feels bad. Like they don't feel good after leaving the Titan. Like disconnecting from the machine spirit is just uncomfortable and bad in general for them. The Titan pilots are nobility, but this is the Crabwalker tank that I love, by the way. You can find them. Oh yeah, the Crabwalker tanks, I don't know. I didn't unfortunately got more specific lore about specific Skitarii classes. I was looking for lore about the new one that was released some time ago, like the sniper one with super duper long legs, but I found absolutely nothing. So I have no idea what those are and where they come from. Titans precepts live a long time. They just can't live. They can leave at the beginning. I think the longer they stay with the Titan, the harder it is for them to leave until they can't. As far as I know. At least that's what I watched on YouTube from, I think, Luetin, actually. I'm not certain about Luetin or Warhammer at this point.
Because the Dark Mechanicum exploits their ability to innovate without moral or ethical constraint. And this makes them not only particularly dangerous, but ravenous for worlds they descend upon in terms of devouring and scavenging any materials of value, leaving behind only barren, scoured landscapes of ruin and despair. As noted earlier, the Dark Mechanicum are driven by this unrestrained technological thirst. And to that end, they do not have any significant overarching leadership. They're comprised of various heretic factions. So let's just consider a couple of these to gain a better picture of just what broadly the Dark Mechanicum are all about. The Apostles of the Blind King, for example, notorious for their actions during the Clusiad War, where they harnessed ancient Dark Age of technology artifacts to create supernova from living suns. They alterated constellations and purged entire systems. Their ability to demonstrate these galaxy-altering scales of destructive capability, if such technologies were more broadly employed or this cult revived, it could devastate the Imperium's infrastructure, using their weapons to annihilate key star systems and entry points, cripple supply lines and create widespread panic, leading to an inevitable spiral of destabilization.
I'm glad that heretics are not really after that much. I don't know if it was a meme, but Titans originally were super advanced farming equipment. I actually don't know about that one. You can read about the Onager Dune Crawler. Oh. Chaos ones are bound to the Titans by force. Makes sense. Yeah, and aren't they in pain all the time? Probably, because as far as I know, how Titans work, they have this machine spirit that is very strong, and there's very little amount of people who can actually like bond with it and work with it. That's why the pilots of Titans are so important to humanity. So if you bind someone by force, it would mean that this machine spirit is constantly fighting against that person. So it would make sense if they are constantly in pain. Some of the smaller Titans were like construction vehicles meant to help settlers quickly establish themselves. Yeah, that makes sense.
Then there are the followers known as the Children of Rhine, who focus on a specific archmagos. They utilize so-called false men, machines who resemble heavily augmented tech priests, to disseminate their heretical technology and ideas.
Never heard of that one.
Their infiltrators could sabotage Imperial facilities, spread misinformation, corrupt loyalist tech priests, erode the Imperium's own technological base from within, and by replacing key personnel, the Children of Rhine could create confusion, mistrust within the Adeptus Mechanicus.
So Alpharius, Alpha Legion of Tech Priests. Oh my god, this is awesome. I didn't even know that it exists. Oh, this is awesome. Imperial Knights factions are based on repurposing those Titans. Yes. Most of the time is the machine spirit in command for the loyalists. For the traitors, Titans can be great assets as much as problem. I see. Everybody gangsta till the cathedral starts walking. Especially when the chaos ones go berserk. So basically they have the freaking Alpha region, but tech priests. Awesome.
itself,
That's
leading
smart.
to internal purges and generally the weakening of the Imperium's technological capabilities and its infrastructure. This internal strife would cause a breakdown in the maintenance of vital systems, the supply of defences, and leave the Imperium considerably vulnerable to external attacks. The Logicians are an organised alliance of heretic factions. They seek to overthrow the Imperium's oppressive structures through technological process.
They're unifying.
In their pursuit of power and advanced weaponry,
unifying.
they're supported by a network of mercantile interests and power-hungry nobles. As such, this makes them a persistent and very well-resourced threat, because their broader and quite considerably high goal is to return to the mythic power of the Dark Age of technology by using their resources to destabilize and challenge the Adeptus Mechanicus and Imperial authority. The Logicians find their inspiration in a forbidden heretical text called The Defense of the Future.
They do know what happened during the Dark Age of technology, right? Do they think that they can stop the AI or do something against it and be like, no, we gonna do better, when you don't even understand the AI on the level that the people that created it did? Interesting logic.
This text has been banned for many millennia, but they favour the advancement of mankind through progress in the acquisition of technology, because they believe they should cast off the oppression of entities such as the Ministorum and larger figures such as Guilliman and the High Lords of Terror. They believe the Emperor and all the bureaucracy of the Imperium has smothered those of Mars from finding their way back to the powers of the Dark Age of technology. And they are one of the examples of these sects who hold no real interest in chaos itself. They don't use demonic forces, they don't have broadly apocalyptic agendas.
A Dark Age of tech before the AI, where everyone had quantum gaming PCs and creative mode. Oh, I mean, yeah, but it led, ultimately it led to the AI, right? So basically, wait, so Dark Age of technology is before the AI? I thought the Dark Age of the technology was during the AI. Oops, I guess I got those kinda messed up in my head. It also includes the AI? Okay, so it's throughout basically until the AI go rogue and humanity got bonked. That's the Dark Age. Until what we have currently with the age. Dark Age of the tech is when AI arose. Okay, AI wasn't the problem until they wanted some respect. Well, yeah. We are entering the Dark Age of technology? Yes, we are actually. That's the funny part about it.
But they are extremely cruel and apathetic in their pursuit of their goals, and they seek to achieve a return to humanity's zenith by any means necessary, which would be extraordinarily dangerous were they able to break in, access, undermine the strength of the Mechanicus. On the decaying world of Sinophia, the followers of Amicus Toll have corrupted local infrastructures and the machine cult, spreading heresy and decay. For the Sinophian machine cult is as corrupt as the manufactories and spires it once maintained. The creation of the apostasic matrix, electro-staves which scourge minds and souls, which, if scaled up, could be used to create widespread paranoia and fear throughout entire systems. Individuals could no longer trust their own thoughts or those of their comrades. They would feel generally frustrated, more unhappy, reduced patience with others. And although these seem very passive and minimal things, when broadly implemented, it could be used by agents or as a form of preemptive psychological warfare to weaken the morale of Imperial forces, which in turn would lead to desertions and defections. By the time any Chaos-aligned forces arrived at a world, they would find it already in disarray, barely able to defend themselves, not entirely dissimilar to the prior Nexus or Tyranids with the Shadow in the Warp. The creations of the apostasic matrix was even favoured by some radical inquisitors who discovered this to be a powerful addition to their interrogations. This would turn captured soldiers and civilians into mindless followers, or could also
They weaponized Monday 9 to 5. Yes, they did. They literally weaponized Mondays 9 to 5. This is possibly why Tau can have AI without issues. They just love it. If I remember correctly, the Tau believed that the titans of the Imperium were propaganda, because there was no reason to spend that many resources when smaller forces would make more sense. Then the Tau pooped their collective pants when they saw a real one on the battlefield, and they're like, uh-oh, they are real, and they are actually good at their job. Hello there, Blake, welcome, happy to see you. How are you doing today?
To be used in interrogating and breaking the spirits of loyalist leaders. But there is of course one question which always persists. Would it ever be possible to unify various sects of
that's
the
my
heretics?
question.
Because in combining these factions to a unified Dark Mechanicum force, it would cause the emergence of a new and extremely capable enemy, due to their diverse abilities, engaging through highly aggressive, multifaceted battles against the Imperium. This would be
No, Bucky, thank you so much for the help. But also, hi, how are you doing today? Hi. Tau saw Imperial Knights, and a few hundred years later, they were producing their own. Of course.
a highly challenging threat to counter. We could imagine it begins with stellar manipulation by the Apostles of the Blind King to isolate and destroy key star systems, then infiltration and sabotage by the Children of Rhine to weaken the Imperium's technological
Oh my goodness,
base.
it is scary when you think about that.
Machines creating chaos and instability as the logicians advance weapons and organizational skills. Their corrupting breaches into Mechanicus infrastructure would launch in coordination with tech priests who wield augmented ranks of enhanced warriors, whilst on peripheral Imperial Guard Bastion worlds, mind-scouring devices demoralize and corrupt Imperial defenders, making them completely ineffective.
Yup.
The Dark Mechanicum would be an extremely difficult new enemy to handle due to the variable nature of their weapons and tactics that they would seek to deploy. Additionally,
Considering how many areas they can cover by just one faction, it's absolutely terrifying. To be Bunny of the Warhammer, what is your wisdom? What is my wisdom? Well, make sure that your toaster is happy so it doesn't burn your toasts. There, this is my wisdom for today. Just remember, they're a chaos force, so they're just as likely exploding each other than they are loyalists. That's true, and that's something that's comforting, because it means it's gonna be much harder for them to focus their explosions on loyalists. So it's good for me. School was tiring today, and PE kids are brutal in football. Oh boy.
it would be a war not only fought on battlefields, but also within the fabric of the Imperium
that would be so scary,
and technology, leading to a conflict that could potentially bring about a new age of strife. The progressive
Wait, Age of Strife. Okay, I remember which one it is. I'm sorry, I'm very bad at remembering names, but I remember. Age of Strife is after the AI went rogue and was defeated, and a lot of the planets were cut off from each other. Don't share forbidden knowledge. I can't afford a visit from the Inquisitors. It's not forbidden, I promise. Thank you for wise words, OTB1. No problem.
stacking of attacks upon vulnerabilities would be exploited by other heretic groups and supporting Astartes and cult armies, creating essentially a self-perpetuating cycle of collapse. The Imperium would be forced to divert resources to address their internal threats and bolster protections against systems that they ordinarily do not have to be concerned about.
It would be a busy day for Inquisition.
Thereby weakening its ability to respond to external system invasions. This perpetual state of crisis would surely also steadily erode the faith of the populace in the Imperium's ability to protect them, leading then to wider rebellions, maybe even those among the Mechanicus and Forge worlds, especially among those who already like to keep the Imperium at arm's length, which would begin to see them switch sides, like for example Zao Arkad. Cumulatively, we would see the eventual fragmentation of the Imperium itself. For the beleaguered defenders of the Imperium, the Dark Mechanicum represents an existential threat. Their aggressive resurgence is a clarion call of the long war's continuation, a grim reminder that the forces of chaos are relentless and ever evolving. The
Oh yeah,
Imperium
they evolved,
Nihilists
true.
must now brace for an onslaught of heretical ingenuity and demonic power as the Dark Mechanicum seeks to reshape and retake the galaxy in the image of their own twisted masters.
I wonder if in the face of heretics involving, would the Empire start evolving as well to, you know, answer to what they do? Every day is a busy day for the Inquisition after all. There's so many loyalists to burn. Lol. Terrific, yeah, because the Imperium made those back when they did have a boatload of resources to use. Hi there, Shadow Drake. Welcome. Happy to see you heading today. It's not depression time. We're just learning about our enemies. Depends on how you view the primaries Marines and what Cowl is doing. In
the minds of many Dark Mechanicum heretics, there is no greater purpose in life than serving the cause of the advancement of technology and knowledge. Any sacrifice, therefore, is justified in the pursuit of this end, because to them, the boundaries of morality and humanity are but trivial obstacles to overcome in their greater quest for ultimate understanding and power. They view the Imperium's adherence to tradition and dogma as a considerable hindrance to true
Makes
progress.
sense.
They
I can
believe
see the
that only
logic.
through unrestrained experimentation and the embrace of forbidden sciences will the true potential of humanity, and indeed the galaxy itself, be unlocked. The tech priests of the Dark Mechanicum will see this end goal fulfilled no matter the cost. In service to this relentless pursuit, they have developed technologies and practices which pose unimaginable risks to humanity of the Imperium. In the contemporary age, humanity itself is by any measure already at the brink of a new age of strife.
That's true, they're having
if the Dark
issues.
Mechanicum entered into a widespread outright war alongside the other horrors from the warp, their technological abominations and outlawed experimentations, paired with whatever discoveries they have made from the dark age of technology, would surely destabilize, corrupt, and cause the structural implosions that constitute the very fabric of the Imperium.
They would be good at their job, which is scary, kinda. Technology is cause and consequence, mechanism and effect. It should not be so restrained and mishandled as those red-robed simpletons would believe. Heretical words! Heretical words! Rules are a law. Unless the rule is stupid, then it's more of a guideline than they can ignore. Mishandled! Oh my gosh, I cannot read. This hindrance is usually what keeps people from being eaten by demon-possessed toasters, so... I mean... yeah, you have a point on that one. Makes sense. I believe one singular Titan would cost... the same as the entire high city, and would believe anyone would make a waking fighting cathedral, honestly. I mean, makes sense, yeah, but that's why they don't want to lose Titans, because they're very, very, very hard to create. Dark Mechanicum, when the AdMech just isn't effective enough at human rights evaluations. I think it's more of when you take away all the restraints of like what do you call it? Of creation, and they can just do whatever they want. Tori likes to convert 25 minutes long videos into 1 hour. This one was 45 minutes. We cut it short. Yeah, see?